into my official review of Uncharted The Lost Legacy. Uncharted The Lost Legacy is the follow-up to Uncharted 4, A Thief's End, and continues the story after Nathan Drake retires from treasure hunting. Now, let's be completely honest here. Chloe being the main character in this game was the best thing that Naughty Dog could have done. Out of all the characters in the Uncharted franchise, the one character that I always felt was capable of holding her own game was Chloe. Because Chloe is such an interesting character. She's got a lot of likable characteristics. She's got a drive to continue forward. She's got knowledge. She's got the backstory. She's got the history. She's got the information. She's very smart, very deceptive in a lot of ways that she does things. She also has a bit of a smart-ass personality, which is something that made Drake a very compelling character. And she was also one of those characters in Uncharted 2 that just had witty comebacks to Drake's comments. She was one who could dish it out better than some of the other characters. So her leading that game, leading the franchise into a new era, I would be completely okay with. If Naughty Dog wanted to make 3 more Uncharted games, 4 more, whatever, and place Chloe in the helm of the role of the protagonist throughout that series, I would have no complaints, because Chloe is one of my favorite characters from the Uncharted franchise. That being said, let's talk about what Uncharted The Lost Legacy brings to the plate story-wise. Now, story-wise, we get a little bit of a look back into Chloe's past. Chloe's kind of always been a mysterious figure. No one's really known anything about her up until this point. But we learned that her father had spent most of his life looking for the tusk of Genesha. Now, the tusk of Genesha was cut from Genesha using an axe that another god had gotten from Shiva. And the story goes on to kind of explain some of the lore, explain some of Chloe's past, and it's all just very interesting. I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm one of those who think everybody should experience a story and get a review of kind of what to expect from the game without spoiling any content that is in the story. The other thing I want to bring up is Nadine Ross. Nadine Ross was one of the antagonists from Uncharted 4. She kind of borderlined that in it for herself. She was a mercenary. She was in it for the money. So it's kind of an interesting concept to have her put into the game. Because you have this character who you relatively hated in Uncharted 4 working with the main character. So Naughty Dog has a lot on their plates to really build up this character and make her grow on you. And they do it very, very well. One of the first things I realized right off the beginning of the game was how Chloe and Nadine had no chemistry. They fought like an old married couple. They were not exactly... They didn't exactly trust each other, to say the least. And that's something, though, that was really cool about it. You got to see these characters grow, a friendship bond by the end of the game. A friendship that blossomed, and these two characters took the limelight. They were able to capture the chemistry that Drake, Elena, Sully, Chloe and Drake had. And it was interesting because you got to see a more funnier side to Nadine. It wasn't just all about business, and I thought that was something really, really cool. Some of the gameplay, is exactly what you'd expect from the Uncharted franchise. Nothing different. It actually steals heavily a lot of mechanics from Uncharted 4, which I'm completely fine with. Uncharted 4 had some very refined, great gameplay, and I was completely okay with that. The stealth controls are there. The stealth mechanics are there. They added a couple of new things, and we'll get into that here in just just a minute. But one of the biggest things that I want to talk about the gameplay is there's not a lot of combat. There is combat, but not as much as you'd expect from an Uncharted game. That kind of took the back burner. This game was more about character building and more about puzzle solving. And the puzzle solving is kind of where I wanted to talk about, because the puzzle solving went back to what the original 3 games had done. There was more of an emphasis on puzzle solving, and the puzzles weren't overly intricate or really hard to solve, but there was those times that I did get caught up and kind of had to figure out certain ways to do this. And it was a nice nod, because I felt like that was something that was missing on Uncharted 4. So to have The Lost Legacy bring that back, I was completely happy with. Now, the next little thing that I do want to mention, I did mention some of the new gameplay footage that they add. They do have the scenery, like where you can take like the little photos and stuff. I thought that was kind of cool. That is actually an achievement, taking those certain photos. This is kind of something that came back from Uncharted Golden Abyss. If you remember correctly, Golden Abyss had a little photo thing where you have to find a certain area and take a photo of it. So it brings back that element to that as well. I thought that was really, really cool. The game also has quite a bit to do for how short of the game is. There's a lot of replayability, a lot of things you can go back and explore, a lot of collectibles you can find. You know, just kind of what staples we've come to expect from the Uncharted franchise. And the last positive thing that I want to say about this game is, oh my gosh, its scenery is flat out gorgeous. The area that they stick you in right off the bat when you get to the beginning of this jungle that they toss you in is nothing short of amazing. There are so many small, subtle little details, from waterfall color to the color of certain ponds being more of a turquoise bluish color that just looks really, really beautiful. You know, there's purple plants and red plants, the grassy areas, the fog flowing over the trees in the jungle, and some of the buildings and structures that you see. This world was just brought to life in pure glory. It looked so amazing. I was just flabbergasted by the amount of detail that went into some of these places. I mean, it was like constantly walking around Shambhala in Uncharted 4. This is how gorgeous this land was, how much detail went into it. Not that Uncharted 4 didn't have great looking areas. There were some very pretty areas in there, especially when they got to whatever the hell that place is called, Liberfilitalia? That's what we're going with. I'm probably wrong on that, and you guys will correct me down in the comment box, but it escapes me. But it was so gorgeous to look at. It was one of those games that I just kind of sat there and marveled in some of the scenery. It's a game that I'm going to probably go back and do even more of, because there's so much to see, so much beauty in this world. And let's get into really the only negative that I had concerning this game. There were a couple instances in the game where the dialogue felt out of place. It felt like it was forced in there as kind of a nod for female power, but that was so small and so minuscule that it didn't really take away from the game. Again, it's not a huge issue, it's just something that I kind of caught, that I just kind of rolled my eyes at, and for the most part was able to overlook. But it was unnecessary to hear that in a couple of instances there. And I'm not going to go into any detail more about that, because it's not something that was pushed so hard that it needs to have a whole section criticized and people talking about it. But it was one of those things that was like, really? And the last thing I do want to say about Uncharted is I feel like Nadine, Chloe, and the unnamed character, we are not going to mention who this character was because of spoilers, I feel like these 3 characters could continue the franchise. Bring in Sully, bring in Drake, have them come in and, you know, just even if Drake just gives advice or something, that'd be really cool to do as well. I think that would, you know, just something, some little nods, keep up the, you know, keep up what we like about the franchise. And like I said at the beginning of the review, Chloe leading her own franchise, I would have no problem letting Chloe take the reins, because I feel like she is the best character suited to take on Nathan Drake's legacy. This has just been my thoughts, my opinions of Uncharted The Lost Legacy. I highly recommend this game. Huge Uncharted fan here. Absolutely adore the series. And this game did nothing but put a big-ass smile on my face the entire time that I played it. There is so much fan service, so much character development, so much history, that I really enjoyed it. You know, and that's the thing that Uncharted The Lost Legacy really hit on. You know, is Chloe's character, Sam's character. They were all there. They were all present. And when you've spanned this game for this franchise over for 10 years, you know the characters, you're invested in the characters, you've gone through this game multiple playthroughs to unlock and platinum everything, and you can already tell what the character's going to say before the character says it, because you're so in tune with the way that the characters talk and the way the characters are. And that's just something the Lost Legacy did. It was such a well done game. You know, Claudia Black knows how Chloe is, just like Nathan Drake knows how Nolan North knows how Nathan Drake is supposed to be. They sink their performance into those characters, and it shows. And Laura Bailey doing Nadine Ross, she does such a great job. And Nadine went from a character that I was kind of iffy about, unsure if I really liked her, to actually feeling like, you know what, I want to see her return. I want to see her storyline continued more and talked about. And I just thought it was overall interesting. So this has been my thoughts, my opinions on Uncharted 4, my official review. Be sure to put your comments down below. Let me know what you guys think of The Lost Legacy. Was it good? Was it great? Do you think Chloe has the potential to lead the franchise into the future? If not, who do you think they should focus on? What other characters from the Uncharted franchise do you think could get their own game? Leave those down below in the comment box and let me know what you guys have to think about this. Be sure to hit subscribe there for me to keep updated with all of my content. You can follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Those links are going to be down below in that description box. You guys have been watching The Spoony Bard, and most importantly, stay happy, be happy, game happy. The Spoony Bard is checking out.